Good evening and welcome to the Finance and Advisory Board meeting of March 25th. We are going to start with discussing the CPC articles that are on the warrant. And Ed Doby, one of our committee members, is going to take us through them. The floor is yours.
Okay,
That wasn't a comment, was it?
no. Wayne
Okay.
didn't do that. Start with A, the Article 27A, Community Preservation General Budget. Every year we have to do reservations to,
Right.
for acquisition, creation, preservation of open space, which is actually greater than or equal to 10% of the estimated fiscal year revenues. So we have to set aside $56,000. We also have to do $56,000 for historic resources and $56,000 for community housing. That was all approved, 7-0 unanimous
Okay.
by CPC. The appropriations, less than 25% of estimated fiscal revenues to meet administrative expenses and all other necessary and proper expenses of the CPC for the fiscal year, $21,000. That was approved unanimously.
Thank you. Okay.
$144,424.85 from undesignated funds and $56,000 for open space and recreational land reserve for a total of $200,424.85 for debt service, principal, and interest payments on any and all costs associated with the bond notes and instruments incurred by the Community Preservation Fund related to articles previously appropriated at annual town meeting in 2013, which are Articles 27H, ATM 5, 6, 13, and 27, ATM 5, 6, and 13, and to take any other action in relation. So we put aside that towards the bond,
For the
the
turf
fields,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was approved unanimously. Okay. Article B, Community Preservation, Community Housing, category Affordable Housing Trust. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GLC 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund, Community Housing Reserve Account, the amount of $63,134 and $16,866 for a total of $80,000 as a grant to the Georgetown Affordable Housing Trust for the purposes of affordable housing initiatives consistent with the Trust's Articles of Incorporation and accepted by the Town of Georgetown Affordable Housing Production Plan.
Okay.
That was approved unanimously.
Does the CPC pretty much every year put money into the
Yeah, but
Affordable Housing Trust, different amounts? Okay.
And generally what affects it is if there's any particular property that might be coming up that they could use.
Oh, I see, yeah, okay.
C, Community Preservation, Community Housing category, Housing Authority storm doors. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated account the amount of $3,600 to the Georgetown Housing Authority for costs related to the installation of storm doors at Tressaway Housing Authority Complex. That approved unanimously.
Okay.
D, Community Preservation Historic Resources category digitization of historic documents. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund Historic Reserve account the amount of $22,000 to be used solely for the ongoing preservation via digitization of Georgetown's historical documents and records. These documents will be scanned and appropriately archived. That is an ongoing program, and that was approved unanimously.
Does this have anything to do with the land use digitization that's going on right now, or is that something totally different?
This is just the historic documents
Well, yeah, what
from the
would,
town and
what
also
would
the,
that be, just out of curiosity?
it's
huh?
any records that the town has in storage. It also includes the old newspapers like the Georgetown Record and previous newspapers, anything that has to do with the town's history.
Oh, okay.
That was also, the library was.
Yes.
The library has most of the old newspapers
Okay.
and town reports, things like that. Then, some of the town clerk's, historic documents that we have in the safes downstairs.
Okay.
Jim, I'm in the historic commission, and in the closet we have file cabinets of paper documents that are between tens to hundreds of years old in there, so
And the fear is that they're rotting and.
And rotting, yeah.
they're, they're in the closet in the attic, basically, of the building.
Oh, they're up here. I thought they were down in the basement, which is,
I think that is a separate grant from this, so this one is the library, isn't it? If I-
No, it's the same one. It's been rolling over every year.
There's one here at the town hall also, over there, is that?
I was under the impression it was the same one, Gary. I may be wrong.
No, there are older ones
Right, they're older ones, but this is,
that are for the town hall.
Yeah, I think that's a
Documents.
separate town hall document.
right. But I don't think
like
this
the
is,
land use documents that I know that Howard was talking about when he was here, and John Mativier. That they're beginning to
They're
digitize all
digitizing,
of those records.
Planning and building
Right.
records.
right, but this is
Historical,
historical.
this is different.
And
yeah.
it is not limited to the library, I guess would be the best way to say it. E, community preservation, historic resources category, town hall shrub fence. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GL 44B to appropriate from the community preservation historic reserve account the amount of $9,500 to be used for the ongoing preservation of Georgetown's historic town hall through the installation of a shrub fence for the property. That was approved unanimously.
Okay.
Any questions? Nope. Gary, I don't remember the ones you voted against, so chime in. I know there were two.
I don't have my notes, but I think it,
One was West Street, wasn't it?
actually, I think I voted for, I think it may have been this one coming up.
Okay.
Because I think, did they raise it?
Yes.
They raised a
Yeah.
couple, and I
Yeah.
voted against because of the raise.
Okay. F, community preservation, open space, recreational land category, rehabilitation of American Legion Park, phase 3, and hopefully the last phase. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated funds the amount of $46,833 to further fund the ongoing engineering, permitting, and implementation of improvements as recommended by the Georgetown Park and Recreation Commission, including all costs incidental and related to the rehabilitation of American Legion Park, which includes replacement of playground equipment, improvements to comply with the American with Disabilities Act, and other federal, state, and local building access and safety codes. That was approved 7-1.
I think it was unanimous.
It was unanimous?
It was the next one, was supposed to,
Okay.
it was at 40.
Well, that was unanimous then. Gary was the only fly in the ointment in the meeting.
Can I ask a question on that?
No.
Okay.
Of course you can.
So, oh, go ahead.
My question is just around. I know you've made it clear that this is it. You know, you're not
Yep.
giving it. What has been the issue? I mean, it seems like they've come back. You know, is that what's going on? You know, a couple of times, or and these costs are
The
increasing.
people, the reason this one was increased particularly, because they've underestimated a number of times. And you've got to remember that the people that are pushing these things forward, they're not engineers, they're not professional purchasing managers, and so they, on the one hand, they're trying to get the best bang for the buck for the town. On the other hand, they're really not as professional as they could be in terms of how they purchase. And so what has happened is they've had to come back to us and because of different You know, they find, it's like anything, it's like the turf fields, they find something different that once they get going, that they have to change. The prices go up, and quite simply, what they do is they underestimated how much it would cost.
Who's they?
The people that are from.
Park and Rec, I would think.
Yeah, there's two ladies that are really doing it, that are, everybody, what happens is you've got to understand that without sponsors to push these things forward and other programs, nothing would happen. So you've got well-meaning people that, again, are not professionals in the fields of endeavor that they're trying to do. And what they do is they act as sponsors, they act as advocates, they act as liaisons to get these things done.
Oh, so, you know, my question then is, all right, so their interests are there, right? You know, they want to do the right thing, but, you know, they're not experts at this. Why aren't we having someone even overseeing them to say, all right, you know, we do have some expertise in this, you know, whether it be some of Peter's crew or, I don't know, someone. There has to be someone who could have overseen this to give them a little bit more insight into what's
I
going
don't have
on.
an answer.
I also think some of these things are done as a phasing project, only because of the amount of money that is in CPC on a
Okay.
given year. So they started one phase of it, they've got one part of that phase done, they got, what do they call it,
The upper park?
the roof.
Yes.
I got I forget the
The
name.
pavilion.
They've got
The
that phase
pavilion?
done. They had, one thing that did set them back, they had hope to, community-wise, take out all the old stuff. Ended up, I think Mike talked to him, wasn't the best suggestion, and,
The tires are a good example.
yeah, you know, they gotta get rid of the tires, they didn't, so that was one thing. But this group really, I think the general idea on it was also going to go through in phases.
Right, but
Some
in
of them
terms of
phases-
why we raised
I think
this
it was
one,
gonna be more a two-phase than a
Right.
three.
but
and
they
then-
came back to us and we, essentially, if you remember, Gary, they came back to us and they wanted $20,000. And we looked at it and we said, you're not gonna be able to do what you wanna do for that amount of money.
Yeah, right.
So we took a more proactive approach with them, and we said, this is the money, and obviously if there's any money left, the way we act on the board now is we can take money back. You know, that money isn't a slush fund that they can just keep there forever.
Yep.
But in this particular instance, we did intervene, and there are people on the CPC that are professional buyers, that work with the Parks and Rec department, or that work for this, and what they do is we sat down and we said, so you don't have to come back, and so you can finish this, and we're done with it, this is how much we think you're gonna need.
Okay.
So that, I would think that would work, as long as somebody is looking at it.
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm sorry, that's what I was talking about, why this one was increased.
Yeah, part of it, yeah, and I mean, and let me tell you, they, not that, I didn't say what I said, trying to throw Mike under the bus, because they said Mike was very helpful in leading them through the bid process and everything. It was just, I think the part more about doing it themselves, taking all the
Right.
elements out. I think Mike didn't feel that was a good way to do it, and I think most everybody agreed with him.
Well,
Well-
they had the best of intentions.
I think you're getting different projects mixed up here. The project for the playground at the American Legion Park is on target, on budget. They did a tremendous job bidding that out.
Did they
I-
go through you when they did?
Yes.
Oh, they did, okay,
But, you know, they did the bulk of the work.
okay.
The East Main Street project has been consistently under budgeted
Yes.
from the get-go.
Oh, the East Main Street.
And what
yeah.
really hampered them, and they never anticipated, if they did, they thought it would be a cursory review by Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. They ended up going to both of them, and they had to do engineering studies, after engineering studies, required by the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board. That drove up the price exponentially and delayed it for years.
We spoke about that last week, remember, about the board stepping over each other inadvertently?
Yeah,
Well, I think it wasn't stepping over, I think when.
I'm being diplomatic.
I think the bylaw came after they got started. Yeah.
I don't wanna sit here on TV and rub anyone the wrong way. Okay, the, G,
Yep.
community preservation, open space, recreational land category, West Streets, soccer fields, rehabilitation, phase one. To see if the town will vote pursuant to GL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated funds the amount of $45,000 to fund engineering, permitting, implementation of improvements as recommended by the Parks and Recreation Commission to West Street Fields, including all costs incidental and related to the rehabilitation of the facility, and further authorize Board of Selectmen, Parks, Recreation, and Georgetown Water Commission in consultation with the CPC to enter into any and all agreements to execute any and all instruments for grants to defer costs associated with this rehabilitation of this facility. What this $45,000, and this is one that you voted against, this was voted 7-1. This is to widen the gate at West Street Soccer Field so that emergency vehicles can get in. Also to create a rational parking lot where people know where they have to park, and again, to be able to protect vehicles being able to get in and get out, to reduce potentially the amount of cars that are on the street on West Street. And this one again is gone through hoops with the water department, the Concom, to get this done.
I was under the impression that the water department was asking that those fields not be used after some point, that because they're on top of the well fields. Now, did that go away? It did, okay, all right, that's not a concern.
From what I've talked with the water department,
Yep.
Lou, and I know that, who's it, Paul, that's in charge of this, has talked with them, and they have no concern.
Okay.
That was the
Conservation Commission has an issue though.
because of the turtles.
Yes.
Conserva-
They want to see those fields phased out.
But they have no authority over them.
Right.
Turtles.
They want to phase them out over turtles?
Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's an endangered species.
There's an
that takes
endangered
down there.
species, that's always an issue.
Is this another one of those things with the conservation, or they're gonna decide they want engineering done on somebody?
That was the concern, that's why there's extra money in there.
Is this parking close to a wetland, within the 100-foot
No.
buffer
I'm
zone?
getting told that conservation has no authority over this.
Oh, like,
It is not wetlands.
yeah,
It is not
Okay.
wetlands.
That's
But
true.
their agent, because he is the guy in charge of the turtles, whatever they come under. Well, they do, I'll put it simply, they do some arm twisting to try to get relief down there, let's say, even though they have no authority, I'm told.
It does come down to whether it's a public safety issue, whether it's a turtle safety issue.
If they were to be phased out, which let's just assume there is a plan to do that, by the time all these other fields come online, we're years and years away from even considering that because of the usage of the fields that are required out there.
Truthfully, I think everybody figured it's 5 years away. Because we had that discussion, remember, Gary, that are we just throwing money at this and?
right, yeah, that was kind of my thought,
Years.
my concern, yeah.
Yeah, we had the same concerns.
Yeah,
I've been hesitant on this one, but have done some work, and I mean, personally, I think it's way too much money for what's being done, but that's the way it is with prevailing wage and everything
Right.
else.
everything is way too much money for what's,
I'd like
was
to-
that your objection, not that the work is being done, but you felt it was too expensive?
No, most of the board felt it was too expensive.
Oh, what was your objection?
There was two articles that in the end, they decided to give them more money, and that was part of it, that's probably what tipped me, I think it went from 40 to 45,
It
Oh.
did.
to make sure they had enough.
It did.
Oh, okay,
In case,
That was the engineering.
in case the engineering came
yeah,
up.
yeah,
But I felt that they also in all honesty, they're working with 10,000 they got last year to start this. So now you're up to $55,000 to take down a few trees, put in some dirt parking and widen entrance.
Dave Shower offered to do it,
Did he?
yeah, with a chainsaw.
Yeah, Jim, I support this because it's a huge public safety issue down there. Forget about the vehicles just getting in and out, the emergency vehicles, which is one aspect of it. But if you're ever down there on a Saturday during the mornings and even the afternoons for a soccer game, the parents are parking on both sides of West Main Street, and kids are running through the street as well, and there's cars flying down there. It's probably one of the most dangerous places for that short period of time in town.
Plus, you couldn't get an ambulance.
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
between the,
It is
between the cars,
also-
yeah.
It is, I guess, I don't know if we have more than one, but it's a helicopter evac
Yes.
site.
Oh, is it?
And
Yeah.
I feel that it's real difficult, so I guess it's also has the backing of the fire chief to try to get his vehicles in there if needed.
All right.
My opinion of this isn't gonna go away in 5 years. As far back as I can remember. my
People have been
kids are
talking about this for a long
30
time. I
30
agree.
years
Yeah.
ago, we were up there, and 30 years from now, we're still gonna be up there.
Has it really been used for 30 years?
My kids played up there.
My
Yeah,
kids
my-
played there.
Really?
That's how
Okay.
Ed and I got to know each
All
other
right.
down there.
You know, it's not gonna go away.
Okay.
They might want it to go away.
Yeah,
Well, the main thing is if we can get through the next 5 years.
Yes.
That's
But
the
the
main
safety
thing.
issue has been that way for 30 years, and it's time to correct it. Let's correct it. I don't agree with the amount of money, but
Yeah, but,
Amount of money is
that
always
is the
an issue.
interesting thing that Gary says. But you end up with a board that all of a sudden decides that you have to have an engineering study to look into it. Then you have to deal with another board because of this or that or the other thing. And before you know it, you've spent $15,000, $20,000, and you're at square one. You're just beginning something.
give Peter the guys a backhoe and a chainsaw, and by lunchtime the road will be plenty wide now.
That was brought up, and I told you Dave Shower said he would do it for nothing. But
Okay, let's do H.
We can
H.
H.
Now, this one is the Community Preservation Recreational Land Use category, East Main Street, Active Recreational Land Access and Development, Phase 1, completion costs. To see if the town will vote pursuant to MGL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated account a total of $140,000 to fund ongoing engineering, legal, permitting, and developmental costs, including all costs incidental and related thereto for the ongoing creation of an active recreation facility at the location of the recreational land off of Main Street, purchased by Article 20E of the annual town meeting, May 4th, 2009, and to provide further for the cost of the engineering.
7 to 1.
7-1.
Was that you again?
How much money is already been?
Yeah, how much money is already in that?
in this?
I did send you that paperwork.
Oh,
and-
okay, I'm
and
sorry,
what
yeah.
I can do is I can send
I
it
have it
out
right
to
here.
everybody else. And that's what you were talking about. It's been delayed. You know, there's one thing that has to be said about what the CPC does that I've noticed. CPC has to look long range. They have to look 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yep.
In terms of what's good for the town, what's going to be good for the future inhabitants. We on the board, the finance, we live year to year, budget to budget. It's a completely different viewpoint. And so when you're seeing things like this, you know, we are more swayed by what is going to be than what is happening right now.
Well, that's not a bad thing. I was just gonna ask you that if this says phase 1,
There are
is there
actually-
some,
There are other phases, yes.
have they let you guys know what they are?
Yes,
Yeah.
they
Oh, they
have.
have, okay. And so even based on that, you think this is fine? This was
Yes,
a
we've
7 to 1?
Again, it's for the use of the. It's like if you tried to sell the athletic fields that we've spent $1.2 million on.
Right, right.
You tried to sell that to someone that's interested in money. You have to catch their imagination so that they can see what's not there now. This is the same thing. If you look at the plans, and we've seen all the plans through all the phases, haven't we, Gary? You can see that over the course of time, it's a good project. Again, but there's a dispute between Concom and Parks and Rec on this one too.
What is this project, by the way? I'm unfamiliar.
This is land that's, up
Behind the
behind
Baptist
the
church.
church. Is it the Baptist church?
No, it used to be the
Is this for the
Baptist.
skateboarding?
Whatever the-
What is it
The
now?
skateboarding?
New Life something. or
Is
Is
that
other.
it
one?
New
Oh,
Life
okay, I know
Community
this is-
Church?
okay.
It's supposed to be part of a
Not in
green
phase
belt.
one.
No. That's basically just for access to it.
Yeah, that is,
Well,
yeah, yeah.
I think they do feel there'll be some type of a field up there.
Yeah.
It may not be a real professional.
But it's supposed to be just for access to walk even, right?
Yes.
Along with fields.
Yes.
And it's, the idea is for it to be connected with a bunch of other parcels. And
Right.
There are significant other parcels up there.
And
that
they're trying
haven't
to-
been
They're trying to pull them all
purchased.
together.
They're trying to get them all together. And the parcels are, some of them are under the control of conservation, some are under the control of whoever, and,
Parks and Rec.
whatever they
And,
are.
and that, your next.
This is the next one, yeah.
It deals with that. And just for you know, I didn't vote nay because I'm against the project. I'm definitely in favor of it. It was the one before and this one in the last minute, they raised
Oh, okay.
the cost a little bit, and I felt more like, hey, put some money in the bank, don't just give everything away. There's always next year.
How much did this one increase?
I think it increased by about 20,000, didn't it?
It may have been,
It was
it may have gone from
120, yeah.
120 to 140, I don't remember the figures.
Here.
Okay.
I.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Article I, Communication Preservation Recreational Land Use Category, Active Recreational Land Purchases. To see if the town will vote pursuant to NGL 44B to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund undesignated account $158,000 to fund for active recreational purposes the acquisition of 2 parcels of land totaling 29 acres for the appraisal survey, title research, legal costs associated with the purchase, gift, or eminent domain of the purchase of the 2 parcels. The first parcel, approximately 9 acres, is identified as Assessors Map 16, Lot 6. The second parcel of approximately 20 acres is identified as Assessors Map 16, Lot 7. Said parcels are to be managed and controlled by the Parks and Recreation Commission of the town of Georgetown, and further to provide for the cost of engineering, permitting, development, and legal pursuance regarding the parcels for the access to and continued development of the Georgetown Active Recreational Greenway.
Okay. And that is buying these parcels
Yes.
to tie them
Right.
together. What kind, is this land usable for that? Sometimes the
Parts
land
of-
they
parts
bought
of it
is
is.
not terribly usable.
Some of it is wet,
Some of it is wet.
but most of it is usable.
Okay.
In fact, one of them is Tolman's property, and the other one is Alan Olson's property.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I guess I heard about that.
Out of the 29 acres, when you say most is usable, are we talking 26, 27, or are we talking like all the way down to 20? I mean, how much? Do you know? You might not know, which is fine.
The map, no, we got the map. I don't know.
I can send you a map. I've got a map of lot 6 in my phone that I can send to you. The idea is to make it active community land so that people can go through it, people can enjoy it. It's not going to be turned into any type of soccer fields or anything like that. It's more or less just open green space for people to enjoy if they're gonna hike. There's horseback, if people want a horseback ride, things like that.
The rail trail goes through it too, one of the
Yeah.
properties.
Well, that's it. This is gonna be part of it.
Oh, it's part of the rail trail?
Yeah.
Well, the rail trail goes through it, so it could be a stop-off point for people riding.
No, I don't think that,
Ah,
there's a possible future link that they're looking at following one of the power lines.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way it was explained.
And there's another lot
They
that's
gotta go back across North Street to get to the rail trail.
Yeah, no, I think they're thinking the power lines that come across North Street. There's some talk about way down, Harry mentioned this the other night at the Board of Selectmen, way down 2025 or further away than that, of another link connecting the rail trail over to here.
Rail trail's got a little
So
lump.
that's in their ballpark, I think, not this, but there has been talk about it.
The rail trail's got a lump in it though right now.
Well,
It's got a little problem.
this passed unanimously.
Okay.
And just, Joe, they get the price on this, I guess this was new to me, I mean, it has to get, what do we call it, what do you call it when you get the value?
Appraisal.
Appraisal, yeah.
You get an appraisal, and we had to spend money for an appraisal on these properties, and then we are not allowed, as a town, I guess, to spend more than the appraised value. So that's where the value comes from.
We had to get 2 appraisals, if you remember, because when they came back in the purchase and sales agreement with some conditions, it had to go back to the lawyers to be reappraised again.
How much tax dollars are we losing by doing?
Well, it's all CPC money.
It's all CPC, okay.
Yeah, it's still tax dollars. I mean, it is,
Yeah.
people
No, I
are
mean-
paying a surcharge on their taxes.
No, it means
Taxable,
the property tax.
Yeah.
It's about $1,200 a year
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean how
Both.
much is coming off?
for both parcels.
That's what I meant, but, you know,
Okay.
But
your answer was fine.
It's backland, it's not a buildable lot, one of
It's
them.
inaccessible.
Yeah, it's landlocked. One of the lots pays about $600 a year in real estate tax, and the other one's about $800 or $900.
About $5,000 an acre. When it comes up.
Yes, if you, when you consider everything, and with all the engineering fees and the lawyers' fees, yeah.
Yes,
I have no idea what did the last one appraisal come in on acreage? Does anybody have any idea?
one of these lots was appraised at 70,000, the other one was about 55,000.
I think it's 53. 53 and change. We look at them as good investments again, because if we have the money, the funds, and the properties available, better that we take it out than have someone down the line be able to push an access road through and put in more houses. Because if that was the case, they could build there. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that what Tolman was waiting for, to see if there was a road that could push through?
I guess with one party selling, I guess it landlocked the other one
Right.
a little more by one party selling, yeah. So when one party signed the purchase and sales, it sort of landlocked the other one even more, but now the town would have it.
So, okay.
then they, I believe, signed the purchase and sales.
Right.
I think one was waiting for the other one to see what would happen.
Does the town not want this to be built on? This land?
I think that the if you remember, the CPC's whole guiding light is to buy open space and keep it open and green.
This is, well, that's the Open
Part-
Space Committee
Yeah.
is part of it. Is
Right,
that's
but the
what that is.
CPC in terms of buying, that's
Yeah,
what we
that's
do.
one of the things they've done a lot of. is
Understandable,
buy.
but you know, we had a conversation just last week about how this town needs more revenue, you know, and, you know, developing land is not gonna be the worst thing in the world if this town needs revenue moving forward.
But right now, as Mike said, it's not developable.
And that's, if that's the case. fine,
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I mean, even if
No,
it's
we can't shut ourselves out to that.
Notwithstanding
No.
that, Joe, notwithstanding that, you know, I've lived in town a long time, and I love this town because of its character.
Mhm.
I don't want Georgetown to become West Peabody.
And I'm with you, but when we
No
have
offense to West
conversations.
Peabody.
uh,
But in
Too
terms
late.
of- in terms of-
well, no,
but
it's,
in terms of the land, in terms of the density,
Listen, I get it, but again, we had a very firm conversation last week that, you know what, I don't think the town overspends on anything. You know, where I think we do a great job, but it just might be a matter of we don't have enough revenue. And next year, or whether it's the year after, I mean, you know, we gotta come to the realization that,
but Joe, everything's
we gotta raise.
everything's a balancing act. Let's say you put 150 homes up there. How's that gonna impact the services, fire, police, schools, everything else? There's
yeah,
a
that's
cost,
not necessarily the kind of revenue you want.
there's a cost to everything.
there is a cost to everything, but at the same time, you know, if it's in the right spot, and it's not going to, you know, it's not gonna be a crazy difference. You know, if you build 10 houses, where's that gonna bring in? 10 families? You know, big deal. It's not. Now, if you're talking about a 500, you know, home.
What if you're talking about
plot.
condos?
You know, whatever.
What if someone decides they wanna put condos there?
Then, you know, it depends on how big the complex would be. You know, because condos, you know, hey, you know, if as long as it didn't become a big monstrosity, I would think, you know, that would be fine with me.
As long
You
as
know?
you live next to it and I don't. Listen.
And I have construction going on in back of me now, you know, and I just find that is, you know, progress. You know, it's just a matter of, we're not putting up a big shopping mall.
People
I
come,
mean, you know, if I think my feeling is, there's one of them here that I'm
There's
not
your
gonna
revenue right
support.
there.
There's the
So,
revenue right there. We need a
What?
shopping mall.
what's
We need
that?
a shopping mall.
yeah.
But wait, and that's fine, right? But, all right, fine, if that's the plan, then someone
I know,
has to
I hear
spearhead
what you're
that.
saying too.
You know, we can't just talk about it.
You just remember, you know, one of the things of the community preservation is, it's broke down in three ways. One is the preservation of open space,
Right, yeah.
then it's preservation and restoration of historic things, and the other one is support of community housing. And, so that's just the way it goes. I mean, you gotta remember, CPC doesn't basically sit down there, and we don't put forward these articles, other people put these forward to us. And there is an open space committee, I think that was one of the ones that was behind us. And there is a thought for, this green area, it is centrally located in town, and, I'll tell you, years ago, I thought it was a dream, but that dream is coming together piece by piece, it's getting larger and larger. And it will be, I personally think it will be a beautiful thing for the town. I agree with you, I don't wanna see land taken off, especially if we're not gonna do anything with it. But there is a plan for this to do, to have some nice walkable trails. It's not gonna be all soccer fields and ball fields, it's, you know, hopefully where you can go up, you can do passive recreation, but I think it's a good thing.
If you look at everything in total, whether you're looking at the revitalization of the schools, you look at the turf field that's going in, you look at the green space that we're purchasing, you look at the revitalization of the American Legion, you look at the East Main Street, when all these things are done, Georgetown is gonna be even more of a desirable place to live than it is today, which means the tax rates are gonna go up. It means the houses are gonna have more value. You know, and that's what I believe we should aspire to. We should aspire to have this town be a jewel on the North Shore that people wanna live in.
And that's another way to go. But you know what? You mentioned a couple of projects, right? That bring a number of people to these projects. You know, take American Legion, right? I mean, how many people, you know, go to American Legion on a, you know, ongoing basis,
Have
right?
you been down there in the summertime?
Yeah, I'm part. You know.
I live right around there. There's
Yeah.
tons of people there.
No, but that's what I'm saying, Ed.
Yeah.
So I would rather say, okay, we're going to dump even more money into American Legion as opposed to, all right, we're buying a plot of land where 4 people are going to walk on that piece of land during the summer, and it's just going to sit there.
I think it's, well, first of all,
And I
I
don't
think it's
know
more
how
than
many
that.
people. I don't know how many people go. I'm just saying.
I think people do, but I'll tell you one criticism is that
No
I
parking.
don't think people walk on the trails in Hampshire Woods and places like that because they're not maintained. A lot of people come down to Camp Dennison and walk on much smaller trails because there are people down there maintaining them. And I think that if that's something you want to do, and I agree it is something you would want, at some point money has to be set aside to have those trails maintained because they're not right now. I've known people that try to walk on them and you can't. It's all overgrown.
Well, parking is another issue.
You're talking other areas, not this.
No. I'm
Yeah.
talking like Hampshire Woods
You're
and
talking
maybe
conservation land.
yes,
And I agree with you.
Lufkin Brook
But
and
don't
places
forget,
like that. So.
conservation land, they don't want you on there to begin with.
But I mean, some of them were bought for that reason. Anyway, I think.
They
okay.
discourage you, let's use
Yeah,
that
well,
term.
they'd rather you didn't.
They've
But
got,
that's all.
they've got.
Same word.
Yeah.
They've got CPC grants. to do
They
trails.
did, and I would think it has to be usable. Anyway, what would the committee like to do with this? Would you like to vote on it right now as to whether we approve these?
Yes.
Okay, how do you want to do it? I could just tell you one thing. I'm going to abstain from one of them. If there's anybody else that wants, you know, a different vote on others, other than that, we can do them all in a group.
Let's do them all as a group.
You want to do them all in a group? Okay. I would like to hold out E then, because I'm gonna abstain on E. And we'll do the others. So I'll have a motion, please, on B, C, D, F, G, H, and I of the Community Preservation Act.
Okay, I got a quick, how do we do these? We vote in the affirmative.
We vote in the affirmative.
Okay,
Exactly.
all right.
So it's, you make a motion that we approve of the warrant articles, you know, the sub-warrant articles B, C, D, F, G, H, and I.
No, you do it.
Oh gee, thanks.
I've just been talking, man.
Just say, you could, so
Okay.
moved is fine, I think she's got it.
So moved.
There you go. Could we have a second?
I'll second it.
There you go.
Okay, it's been
Although,
moved,
Joe, I should have given that one to you.
no, it's been
I don't
moved
think he
and
wants to second it.
seconded, to, approve the articles B, C, D, F, G, H, and I of the Community Preservation Act. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. I would like, a motion on, paragraph E of the Community Preservation.
I move for approval of, support of paragraph E, the community preservation, the town hall shrub fence.
Seconded.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve paragraph E of the Community Preservation Act, part of the warrant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I abstain.
Do we have
Okay.
to remember that?
Pardon?
We're gonna have to remember that?
I don't know, she's doing it.
When we stand at the town meeting, we do that.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We'll get that from Andrea. Okay,
You got it? Good.
Andrea has it. We want to talk briefly about the budget. At the moment, I sent the budget out the other day. It has changed slightly since then. But basically, we have taken out all of the additional people that were requested for this year, with the exception of additional hours for the Council on Aging. We have also assumed some revenue from the state. At the moment, it's on the order of about $20,000. And we have reduced the reserve fund down to about $50,000, all to make it balance. But there's still a couple of other things that we're dealing with, so we would like, that's where we are. It's balanced, but we've taken money out of the reserve fund, and we've assumed a certain amount of state aid, a minimal amount of state aid, just to balance it.
Jim, the reserve, down 250 or decreased it by 50?
It's down 250. It was
Reduced by 40, down to 56.
45, actually. That's what we gotta, there's a difference in what we talked about today. So,
The change was in the school, the bonding for the,
no. We took out everybody's, as I said, we took out everybody's additional headcount, but the additional hours for the Council on Aging. And that includes the school resource officer and the 5 positions in the school department. And we still had to, as I said, take money out of the reserve fund. So we would like to wait until next week to vote on it. Mike is okay with that. I know you wanted to vote on it,
Okay, no,
give
that's-
him the
no,
time,
that-
but Mike
that's
is
the
okay with
point.
it.
Then,
There's a couple of other things that we're talking to people about, and,
Trying to turn over some extra rocks.
yeah, so
Find money
that
in
we
it.
can not run the reserve fund down quite as far, but, you know, whatever we have
next
to
week, can
do.
we have a handout of
Yes.
just what that is all
Yes,
entails?
yes, we can do that.
Everything, I haven't updated.
Well, I'll send you out the file, too. You'd rather have a handout.
I look at your file, but it's fun to try and figure out.
Oh, okay, all right, we'll do a
It's a
handout.
spreadsheet that goes like on forever.
Oh, yeah, you can't print that puppy
Yeah, you can, Prince.
in pieces.
doesn't print out right.
And if you reduce it down to a size so you can get it on a couple pages, you
I
can
thought I
see
printed it out. Okay, maybe it's not printable. I'll look at it.
No,
I'll
somebody,
look at it.
I,
Okay.
One of them was, the other one was just too wide.
Oh, all right. The other thing I think we ought to do is begin going through the warrant and see if we can come to an agreement on some of the articles so that we don't leave them till the last minute. So why don't we take some time here, we'll go through the warrant and,
Jim, can I ask another question on the budget side?
yes, sir.
Mike, any other further conversations with Maya on the health insurance? Is it pretty concrete on with the raises, the increase?
Yes.
It is.
It is.
Okay.
No, there weren't any further conversations.
Oh, one other thing, were you gonna go back to the Department of Revenue? Cause in the budget right now, we have meals tax at 65,000. Were you gonna go back and see if we could get it to 75? If they would agree to that? Cause our revenue this year it's up close to 70 already, isn't it?
No.
Oh, it isn't, okay.
Well, those were just, yeah, those were, and we didn't collect all that, cause that went back to last May. We
Okay.
just started collecting it in
Right.
July.
Yes.
It was running, and just since the last 6 months, it's been running about 6,200 a month. But that was as of December.
Right.
And that's when the golf course closed down for the winter. So
Right.
I think that's gonna drop.
Actually,
Could.
792.
Well, when will you get, do you get that from the state?
We're expecting our next quarterly payment any day now. Actual payment. The first payment for the first quarter was only $5,000.
Oh, so you haven't gotten the second quarter
I
payment
got
yet?
the second quarter.
Okay, then
That
you're
was
waiting for the third.
23,000,
Oh, okay.
and now we're waiting for the third quarter. It's due any day now.
Maybe we can visit that over this week and see if
Yeah,
people,
we haven't gone through the third quarter yet, have we?
well, it's the third payment. Yeah,
Third quarter would end the end of March.
yeah, it would.
you're right. For some reason, Mary indicated
We were gonna get it.
another payment very shortly.
You know, if we can do it, fine. You know, if we can't, then
Well, which quarter are they paying for? Are you getting paid for
for the,
end of
for
this
the
quarter?
third
You getting
quarter,
paid
he
for the
said.
second quarter?
Are the
Yep.
payments mapped to the quarters? That's the
Yeah,
first
that's a
question.
good- that's a
Yeah,
good
it
way to
sounds
put
like
it,
it,
yeah.
but,
Because if we got 5,000 for the first quarter, so from July on, it doesn't sound like that was mapped to the quarter.
They might be running on a
This is the first time this is the first year.
I understand, I know what you're saying. It just doesn't
We
seem,
don't have any history
quite.
with them.
It's a state.
I never known the state to be ahead of themselves.
Is it unrealistic to go to 70, 75?
well, I mean, you
I
don't
know
wanna
we had
do
our-
it if it's not there. That's,
We were at what, budgeting 40 before, and then we went to
It was
60, and then
65.
50, and then we went to 65, as I
now we're
recall.
going to 75.
Yeah, now we're thinking maybe, you know, every little bit helps. So if we could go to
Went out
70 or
eat in
75.
February.
Well, Mike, what's the downside if we don't hit
They
this?
will disallow the estimate, is what, if we can't prove it, and we don't have any history behind
Right.
it,
Yeah.
that they will be very
Well, I mean, is
conservative
it
in
possible for us to go to them and say, what do you guys think about us going to 75 next year? And, you know, if they
will
may
say,
have
what-
better
they'll
records than we
say,
do.
What did you make this year?
Yeah.
We can't increase it more than 10% from the previous year.
Yeah, but we don't have any.
And
real
we
history.
don't have a previous year to compare it against.
So at least we have a shot to establish where it needs to be,
Right,
because they can't say no.
exactly.
Is the golf course doing functions, or they totally?
Well, that's it, yeah, the golf course is doing functions, so that shouldn't be. Anyway, maybe we can look at that this week and we'll see if we can do something. And, but next week, we definitely have to vote on the budget, and we'll have it finished,
Okay,
and we'll give you paper.
thank you. Kill a few trees.
Okay.
The couple that
From
we
West-
packed down over.
From West Street Field.
Yeah.
West Street Field, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some articles. Stabilization fund, we have no plans to put money in the stabilization fund, right?
So we could pass over that.
We can pass over that. Capital fund, we have no plans to put money in the capital fund.
Pass over that.
The water department operating budget, we have seen that.
Yep.
Um,
Do we vote on that one?
we haven't as yet.
Do we have to vote on that one?
Yes. Wait, well, what we're doing is we stand up and tell the people at town meeting if we agree with this,
Oh, okay.
if we approve of this, just as a,
Then I'll make a
So
motion.
we're not-
I'll make a motion to approve Article 5 for the Water Department operating budget.
can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve the water department operating budget. This is the budget that we have in our, that we've been getting from them. It hasn't changed, I don't think. No sense that it will. Okay, any further questions? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Fire department ambulance operating budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the fire department's ambulance operating budget, Article 6.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the fire department ambulance operating budget. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent calendar.
Hold on, just a second.
Wow, the light department is part of the consent calendar?
That's the operational light department. Should I be calling in these articles ATM 15?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you should for,
Yeah, they have a tendency to move
to
around.
move them
Okay.
around. We can,
Can you just note on those last two votes that the Article 5 is ATM 15-5, and Article 6, the fire department ambulance, was ATM 15-7. Okay? Then we can keep right on going.
And I'll follow through with that.
I'll read them off here now.
Yeah, why don't you do all of the,
I'll read 'em off
you do all of the
correctly.
motions, okay.
Mike gave me a copy, so.
Oh, good. Then you're all set.
215-7s here. One should be a.
Now you're screwing me.
Yeah, no. Is there really?
Is it? Where's the 15-7?
Second one.
Is Article 6, that's not the same as Article 7.
No, Article 7's 15-8.
These, what we're talking about, Gary, is that thing at the
Oh,
end,
yeah,
the
that's-
ATM 15
I got the one
dash.
from Monday.
I don't know what one I got. It says the 25th on the bottom of
Yeah.
this page.
Yeah.
Okay, it's different, mine's the 19th.
Yeah, she just.
Oh,
did
this
them
is the
up
25th.
Today.
Here, Gary, you want another one?
Yeah.
Sure, I got.
One more paper.
I got
Look,
a
we,
lot.
we'll kill another tree.
Jim, you have got all the tree in the world.
I do.
May I? I will
Okay.
recycle it, I promise.
All right, so let's do, of the consent calendar, Article 7, Municipal Light Department continuation of operation.
I make a motion to
let's
approve ATM Article 15-8, the continuation of the operation of the Municipal Light Department.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 15-08, Municipal Light Department continuation of operation. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Article 8, Zoning Board of Appeals Revolving Fund, ATM 1509.
I make a motion to approve Article ATM 15-09, Zoning Board of Appeals Revolving Fund.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 8, Zoning Board of Appeals Revolving Fund, ATM 1509. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Conservation Commission Revolving Fund for Camp Dennison, Article 9, and also ATM 1511.
I make a motion to approve ATM 15-11, the Conservation Revolving Fund for Camp Dennison.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Article 9, Conservation Commission revolving fund for Camp Dennison. All those, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Article 10, Chapter 90 reimbursement transportation bond, ATM 1513.
ATM 15-13, Chapter 90 reimbursement transportation bond.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Fire Department Fire Alarm Revolving Fund. I see here, it said an amount not to exceed 10,000, request increase to 14. Is that'll be fixed in the motion? They're gonna request a certain amount of the motion, are they?
Well, you have to raise the limit.
Right.
That's what they're asking.
They're asking to raise the limit,
Yeah.
but I mean, will that be in the motion? Because it
Yes,
just says
yes.
request increase. It
Yes.
should say not to exceed
It'll
14,000.
say not to.
exceed 14,000.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I will have a motion on Article 11, Fire Department Fire Alarm Revolving Fund, ATM 15-15.
I'll make a motion to approve Article ATM 15-15, Fire Department Fire Alarm Revolving Fund.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Article 12, Inspections Department Revolving Fund, ATM 15-16.
I'll make a motion to approve Article ATM 15-16, Inspection Department Revolving Fund.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 12. I won't go in the whole thing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. End of consent calendar. Fire Department ladder truck payment. We want to vote on that. Generally, we take this out of the stabilization fund, and we're gonna have to do that again this year. There's no other way. What do we have, 3 more years? I think it's 3.
This and one more.
Oh, this and one more.
Hey.
Reggie would be happy.
I know.
He would.
I have a question. Do we have to state that this is coming from the table?
No, I think that will be in the motion.
That'll be in the motion.
Yeah, that'll be in the motion.
Tonight's motion or the motion at the town
The
meeting?
motion at town meeting.
Town meeting.
Okay, I make a motion to approve ATM 15-17, Fire Department ladder truck payment.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 13, fire truck, ladder truck payment. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Article 14, local access programming.
Okay, I make a motion to approve Article 8,
Okay.
ATM 15-12, local access programming.
I don't know what this is.
I know, I'm just looking for a second. Mike
I'll
is gonna tell
second.
us. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve local access program, ATM 1512. Further discussion as Mike is gonna explain.
Explanation. This used to appear in the consent calendar.
This is the little guy in the other room.
Right, and we were, based on the DOR study done a couple years ago, they told us that we should not be using this as a revolving fund. That it was general fund revenue. But there was a conflict with the contracts, because the contracts say it can only be used for cable expenses.
This is the contract with Verizon
Verizon
and
and
Comcast.
Comcast, yes.
Okay.
So, and this just happened at the last session of the legislature. To clear that up, they created a brand new category of revolving funds just for cable money. And that's why it says chapter 44, section 53E and 53F and 3/4. That's the brand new law. And so what we have to do is, number one, adopt that portion of the law, and then fund the local access programming. We're doing both in the same motion, in the same article.
Yeah. Now, is that for all intents and purposes a revolving fund?
It is a revolving fund. It's a cable,
Okay.
local access programming, cable, revolving fund.
All right.
And, once this passes, once we adopt it, we can put it back into the
Consent.
consent
Oh, then we'll go
calendar.
back and put it back in the consent calendar. Okay.
It's kind of like,
Do the selectmen have any, other than allowing them to spend this money, do you have anything to say over how much money is spent and on what?
In terms of what the cable expense their money's on,
Yeah.
I
You never,
think, Mike, you oversee some of that spending, but we really, what their needs are, they'll come to Mike and share what has to be
yeah, what is,
required and.
what oversight, I guess, of course, there is a committee, isn't there, that oversees this, yeah.
It's a
So is that the oversight?
Yeah.
Stu works closely with him, because Stu has mentioned
Yeah.
at the board meetings many times, that they're doing one of the projects.
Is Sue on that committee still? He was a while
Well, I
ago.
don't think he is no more, but
Okay.
still, I think,
Yeah,
works with him.
chairman.
Yeah, he was,
What the committee is appointed by the selectmen,
right.
and their expenditures are capped by this article. They
Yeah.
can't spend more than 100,000.
Right.
And
Necessary.
all their expenditures go through the town warrant system.
For things like this.
Their bills get signed off by
We see what they're buying.
me and the selectmen and Mary.
And by the cable committee, I would assume.
Yeah, the cable committee is the
Is
spending authority.
Is the spending authority. Okay, I just wanted to know what oversight there was, that's all.
Comes from different places.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Since, again, I'm assuming that we don't have the money to put any more money, didn't last year either, in the other post-employment benefits trust fund.
That's correct.
pass
So
over.
we're gonna pass over, I tell you, we're gonna pass over that, okay. Council on Aging, I think we wanna wait till next week until we get a sense of how we can
Well,
gather up some money, or what we're gonna do about that.
Well, it also says a sum of money, it doesn't specify.
Yeah, I would rather wait to see what, hopefully somebody will look at that and give us a sense of what it might cost to make those changes. And you're right, the amount of money itself will probably be in the,
It'll be in the motion,
in the motion.
and you'll
But-
get that before.
Yeah, but I would, if you don't mind, I would rather wait
I agree.
and see. The rest of them, until we get a sense of what we're doing with snow and ice, and if there's any other monies we can dig up, we really can't do much with the rest of the CIP articles. One thing I thought at some point is that if we do have money, it would be good to be able to prioritize them. And I was wondering, and actually Sandy mentioned this, and I talked to her tonight. Does the CIP, I know they used to prioritize them, the CIP. Did they do it when you were on it?
Yeah.
So if they have a priority list, that might be something that we should,
Jim,
Take a
didn't
look
we-
at.
Last meeting, didn't we ask for that question? The question was, Article 25 is probably one of the most important ones, is to rebuild the engine on the.
we
pumper.
haven't got to that, yes. We have something for that, yes. yes. I'm sorry, yeah, I was gonna get to that.
The
So-
committee itself didn't take a vote for prioritization.
Oh, they didn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
They assumed that there was going to be about $125,000 in free cash.
Right.
And these are the ones that got accepted.
Right,
The other requests didn't, so that was, they didn't prioritize the ones that they accepted either.
okay.
But I can tell you, and Ed's correct, the only one that we have to have
Right,
is
The
the fire
fire
engine repair.
right.
The rest
We
of
do have to do that.
I'd like to have.
Yes, yes.
At least
But
this
ag-
year.
but again, with-
Next year, you know, things like the voting, boxes, that's probably gonna be a need to have, next.
Yeah, we will need them. All right. So the rest of these, the transfer from overlay surplus, we may have to have, there's a possibility that we may get some money from the assessors, overlay surplus money, and we think it has to be on a warrant article to accept it. From what we had a conversation with Jay this afternoon, so we might want another article if we could, just, that'd be some more money that we would have available for CIP. I must admit, today was the first time that I heard a good explanation of how that whole thing works. That whole overlay surplus, and just the overlay in general. So we need to get this, oh, you have the money for this, don't you? The 31,
95516.
yeah. This, you wanna,
Yeah, let me take
Go,
a
why don't you
crack
do
at
it?
it, cause it's confusing as heck.
yeah,
There's an overlay reserve and there's an overlay surplus. The way the overlay reserve works, they get 75,000, there's a line item in the budget, in the operating budget, this year it's $75,000. And that's to use to pay for the exemptions, like veterans exemptions, elderly exemptions, handicap exemptions that people are qualified for. And it's also used to pay for the, when people request reductions in their pay, in their tax bills. They say, well, you've assessed me too high, and, you know, you have 2 bathrooms on the card, I only have 1 bathroom. Or you measured the house wrong, so they can get a reduction in their taxes. But we still have to pay whatever the total tax levy is. So it has to be made up. If they're not gonna, if the homeowner doesn't pay it, the overlay account has to pay. Some years, they won't have as many exemptions or refunds on taxes of that $75,000. That doesn't go back to the general fund, it doesn't go back to free cash. It stays in the overlay reserve. When they have, and believe it or not, we occasionally do have, we don't spend the entire levy. It's hard to come up exactly to the penny when you're talking $18 million. So oftentimes we'll have, say, maybe a excess levy of $5,000. That goes into the surplus, the overlay surplus. and it builds up over the years. And they use that kind of, they can use it as a rainy day fund, which in this case is what they're doing. There's $92,000 in the overlay surplus fund. They're gonna need, they have two large challenges that are going to tax court and may result in us having to abate some taxes. And one of them, and they're two of the largest properties in town. One is for the Crosby's Plaza, and one is for the golf course. And we're about $2 million apart on the golf course. $2 million in value, not in actual taxes. And it's not nearly as big, but it's large for Crosby's Plaza too. So to be prudent, and they don't have enough money in their reserve to cover this. So they're taking money out of the surplus and putting it in their reserve. That's the only way you can get money out of the surplus. We've taken money out of the surplus in the past. Most recently, last spring's special town meeting, if you remember, we appropriated $91,000 to the highway department to repair the roads last spring because of the terrible pothole situation we had. So we actually, and to get money out of the reserves, out of the
Surplus.
it requires a town meeting vote. So that's what we're doing here, taking the 31,955.16 for the assessors to potentially pay if they lose the challenges, the abatement challenges. If they don't, it'll go, you know.
It'll go back into,
it'll
it'll go back
in
into surplus.
eventually.
Yeah.
So, and when Jim and I were talking with Jay today, right now, there's $92,000 in the surplus. And so there's, if they take the, approximately, so they're taking the almost 32 out, it's gonna leave 60,000 in the surplus account. And I'm gonna meet with the Board of Assessors on Monday and see if they would split that difference, give us 30.
Give us 30 and keep 30.
And keep 30 in the surplus. So that's, maybe, you know, we'll ask 30, maybe we'll get
20.
20, 15, 10, anything to help, you know, the cause, and possibly pay for some of these, well, number one, pay for the snow and ice deficit, and maybe some of these smaller capital improvement items. That's as best as I could ever
That's
explain
fine.
it.
That's-
And I couldn't explain it this morning. So, it's confusing.
Okay.
Reserve and surplus.
Yeah.
So we wanna wait on that, wanna hold on that one?
Not really. I mean, unless you guys want to. I mean, we have a motion and a second. Mike, we had a discussion. You know, go ahead. We're in the discussion phase.
Discussion.
Do you want to hold it? And because we know the amount of money. He said it's 31,950 something and change.
955.16. Yeah, and I mean, if we're gonna, you have to list a specific purpose for it.
Okay.
So, if we're gonna use it, you know, if we're getting another, bunch of money from them, we'd have to say what the purpose of it was
Right.
for. We'd have to know ahead of time.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The fire department repair, we were thinking today that we have $65,000 in the capital fund. So we're thinking that since this really has to get done and we don't want to think about how much money is going to be left over after snow and ice, even if we defer some of the snow and ice to next year, it's kind of eating into that already. We would take it out of that capital fund. And we're only talking $12,000 or $13,000. So that was the plan there, is to take that fire engine repair out of the capital fund.
You wanna vote on it?
I don't see any, unless there's an objection. Let's have a motion and a second, and we can talk about it if
Go
there's an
ahead,
objection.
motion, I'll second.
I make a motion to approve ATM 15-24. Fire Department Repair Engine 1, 2003 E1 pumper truck.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 25, Fire Department Repair Engine 1, pumper truck, ATM 1524. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Finance and Advisory Committee from 9 to 7. Do we
I
want to?
move to ATM 15-29, reduce the Finance and Advisory Committee from 9 to 7.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 26, reduce Finance and Advisory Committee from 9 to 7 members, ATM 1529. Any further discussion?
That's to a minimum of 7, Jim?
No,
Just to,
just 7.
just to
What,
7.
what that would do is, and this, by the way, this is something that the Finance Committee has put forward, because we've had so much trouble getting 9 people. Surprisingly enough, we have 8 right now.
I can go.
Sit right there.
It's all about the quorum.
It's all about the quorum. A 4 would be a quorum then.
Okay.
So that's why this. But if anybody has any thoughts, I mean, this is kind of a big change. I don't know.
I can't go, huh?
No, you're saying I'm leaving later.
Who said you could leave?
Yeah, you can have alternates.
We can have alternates.
I'll move the question.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Oh. All right, so it has been moved and seconded. Did I say that? Reduce the fund? Yeah, I did. Discussion? You good? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We did community preservation.
A, B, C,
Go to Article 28,
Article 28.
solar energy facilities.
Has anybody seen that yet? What, this is...
I thought that this was a placeholder, and do we know anything about this? We'll talk with Howard tomorrow. We get Howard to the meeting next Wednesday. Talk to us.
did produce a report for the selectmen. I don't have it with me tonight. I'll get you the report.
Okay, this is a bylaw, though, as to how to go about solar energy facilities?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought that last year they had the bylaw. It was about 7 or 10 pages long.
Yes.
Yeah, Howard did come in front of us, I thought.
And they passed it over last year because it wasn't.
Yeah, that's,
wasn't
maybe that's what
ready
I'm thinking, that it
on
was
prime
last
time.
year we passed it over.
Last year's was pretty bad. I wanted to see what this year's was gonna look
I
like.
was just gonna say, why don't we get that report to our committee member here,
There was a
who
few
has
things
some
in it last year that
expertise in
I
that
was having
area.
Agita over.
All right, let's,
Harry Murch Proctor, I think was solar plant, solar.
the rest of them are, well, the next 2 are also, planning, it looks like.
Yep.
chapter 15, removal of dog waste.
Oh, that's, from the police chief.
Okay.
Which one?
31.
31.
Oh, yeah, we gotta
Hand
vote
out
on,
tickets.
we gotta vote on that. Johnny really needs that.
Hey, who gets the money?
I'm, oh.
General fund.
General fund.
There you go.
I move to
There's more
approve
revenue, Joe.
ATM 15-33, Town Bylaw amended chapter 15.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve Article 31 Town Bylaw Amendment, Chapter 15, ATM 1533.
I want to include my backyard in this, so that someone can clean
Removal
it
of dog waste from public property. Any discussion?
It's not just public, it's properties of others too,
Oh, properties of others, I'm sorry, you're right.
just so people know.
This is,
And then they'll
There's
have,
somebody climbing in.
the only issue I have, traditionally, the police department have been reluctant to have these articles in there because
Enforcement.
this is, they don't want to get involved in chasing people for dog poop, frankly.
well, they'll get the DNA testing kits.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
determine which dog did it.
yeah.
I thought.
But if the police department is submitting this, then I guess they're
It's an
in
issue for them,
favor.
it's an issue for all of us.
Yeah, it is.
Well, Jim, I also think that one thing we need to talk about is, and I don't know how they're even going to let people know about it that don't attend the meeting, but if something's even out there, right, it just scares people enough to say,
They'll do
okay,
it.
you know what, maybe they'll pay a little bit more attention, to this. So it might not be something that they really fully intend on, 1,000%
yeah.
enforcing, but you know what, if it's out there, maybe
And you
people
may
think,
get caught up in it. One thing that
It's like
that
a leash law, it has to start someplace.
nah, that's true. We sort of have that issue at Camp Dennison, and one of the things we did was put those little bags around.
Yeah.
So every telephone pole should have one of those little bag things on it.
So what you're saying is bears can do it in the woods, but dogs can't.
Dogs cannot. That's right.
So people put them in the bags and they leave the bags on.
Then they leave the bag on the sidewalk.
Well,
Yeah.
I've seen that off of Mill Street.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Have you guys been in the city lately? If you go down any city street,
Really?
it's gross.
No kidding.
People are just
Little pink
ridiculous.
bags, little blue bags.
I mean,
everywhere.
fine, you picked that and you left it on the street. It's like,
Well, that wasn't the
it
point.
is terrible. It is absolutely horrible. What those people do.
Anyway, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Aye.
Resoundingly.
Opposed? Gift of parcel. Turning, is this the battleground?
Haven't gotten anything back from legal on it,
Oh, okay, we wanna let that sit?
probably.
Yeah. And submitted, this Article 33.
It's brand new. Selectmen received a petition warrant article from a citizen. But they determined that we all knew that the deadline for petition warrant articles was February 23rd. But the need for this change was raised initially at the Historical Commission. And because of a proposed building in town, it's on Main Street, I don't know the name of it, what we refer to it as, but
Dunbar Tavern.
Dunbar
That,
Tavern.
okay,
CB Hill's old house?
yeah.
Okay.
They went for a variance to intensify the use there. And the ZBA said, no, we can't issue you a variance.
We can't even consider to issue one.
Right.
It wasn't even a consideration because of the bylaw.
Oh, the bylaw as it stands prohibits it, pretty much.
Right.
Ah.
So, the ZBA, the Historical Society, or Commission, and the code enforcement officer all agreed that, if these, footnotes were deleted, then the project could go forward. It would still require a special permit, and this would be for any building in the RA or RB zones in town. They'd still need to get a special permit from the ZBA and also get site plan approval from the planning board.
Okay, so there's a lot of
So
hurdles
there's a lot of
anyway.
oversight, and
Okay.
actually the history of this, these footnotes were put into the zoning regs in the 90s as a spot zoning to prohibit a project going forward.
Actually, it was the seventies.
Oh, that far ago? Okay. Yeah,
And it was to prohibit a particular project.
Yeah, and it's just stayed there ever since. And actually, according to code enforcement officer, ever since the 40B, the
Yeah.
act came into existence, it really made this irrelevant, because people can apply for a 40B permit and get the increased density.
Anywhere they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this has kind of gone full circle. It was created to spot zone something out, and although this is going to allow this project to go forward, it's not an approval by any means. It still has
Just,
to go
it's,
through
yeah, it just reduces one of the,
hurdles.
yeah, hurdles.
And just so you guys understand from the Board of Selectmen, we're not necessarily recommending that we agree with the changes on that. We're agreeing that we want it to put on the warrant. We have a public hearing process that has to happen.
That's right,
And
that's
so
right.
we've got I don't know the unintended consequences, put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
This isn't, particularly spot zoning for a particular project or property. This would impact all of downtown and any of the
Right,
RS
right.
areas. So, I look at it as a potential to be, opportunistic for us as well for, helping increase some of the property values for greater potential intensities where a special permit would be approved.
And if there's a additional development that, cause we talked to Alan about withdrawing his petition, and it turns out because the voters, it was certified, it can't be withdrawn. So we're gonna have two warrant articles of the same, two duplicate warrant articles.
Oh,
Because it has to stay on the warrant. A petition warrant article has to go on
Yeah.
the warrant. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Whether it's legal or illegal, we have to put it on.
so that Alan's article isn't in here?
Well, it's gonna be the same as,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a 33 and a 34
Oh, okay.
that says
The same thing.
petition warrant article.
Okay,
And
Okay.
if this one passes,
then we can pass over
then
that
we'll,
one.
the other one would be redundant and
Okay.
we pass over it.
Did you say you have to have a public hearing on, from the select, before the town meeting on this too?
Yeah, planning board is going to have one 2 days before the warrant officially closes and has to go to print.
Oh, that's
Yes.
the public hearing?
Yes.
They're actually discussing it for the first time. as we
Right now,
speak.
yeah.
I think we should wait until,
Oh, fine.
maybe make this recommendation, maybe take
Wait.
the night of.
Oh,
I don't know. A
That's
lot
fine.
can happen between, this is,
Yeah, you'd probably wanna wait to
Okay.
approve it, just to,
all right.
I would say, I think we should
wait
at least
till the
wait.
Z,
When,
the planning board.
when, I
gives
don't
a-
know. Maybe
yeah.
next week we can decide.
Maybe next week, or we could wait
I don't
till,
think we're
we
ready
don't
yet.
seem to have a whole lot of stuff to do on the night of the town meeting, but so we can wait, that's
But where it's not a financial,
Yeah,
we
oh,
have
it
to look
isn't.
at-
We don't have to.
we don't have to.
We don't
really.
have to approve or disapprove these articles.
Yeah.
It's good to have a little discussion about them, though. That's-
No, we can discuss it. We can discuss it next time and discuss it.
Okay, Mike, we don't have anything else, do we?
don't?
Hey, we're out of here.
We are.
Before 9
Can I have a
o'clock.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I won't be here next week.
Okay. Too bad, we're gonna vote on the budget.
I'll be in Hilton Head.
Ah,
I'm
Ah.
taking vacation.
You want us to call you?
Yeah, you can call me. I'll call in, yeah.
When we get to the town budget, we'll call you.
yeah,
Yep, and I'll be
I don't think
sitting
there's gonna
there.
be anything earth
We
shaking.
hear the clinking of ice in the glass, we'll know what's going on.
You could call in, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam's here.